My name is Amber Scott. I am the director of the Thieves Guilde production for the 2022 year for the Medieval Fair.
My name's Scott West. I am the fight coordinator for the show this year at Hogtown. What is a living chessboard? A living chessboard, believe it or not, is actually a pretty old form of entertainment where high-powered, high-earning, very wealthy landholders and nobles, royals even, would have very large chessboards. But what you would have is you would have a person standing the piece square for each of the pieces. So that would be living chess. Battle chess is something, it is that plus a little more. In battle chess, just because one pawn takes another does not guarantee that that pawn gets the square that it takes. Then a duel is played out, a fight of one sort or another. It adds just another layer of tactics to the game. We like it. We think it keeps it interesting. It keeps the fights a little less predictable. I enjoy it. This year started very different from most years. When the board of directors put out their call for directing teams to kind of stick their neck out and say, hey, I might want to do it this year, we didn't really have anybody that was very excited about it. And our fallback for that is the board of directors kind of puts together their own team.
Being chosen as a director for this year, it was bittersweet in the sense of I was happy that they trusted me to be able to handle this and handle the pressure and all that needed to be done. But there was a bitterness in the sense of there's a reason I didn't originally come forward because I didn't know how much time I had on my plate. So I'm really happy that they felt that I could probably push us forward and help us roll with the changes, I will say.
It was kind of a group decision that I would take over the fight coordinator position. The challenges we expected to have this year, I think, are actually exactly the challenges we did run into. And those challenges were that there weren't as many people available for one reason or another to come out and be a part of the cast. The cast is probably about half to two-thirds the size of an average Thieves Guild cast. We had a lot of folks that we normally rely on be pretty heavy hitters on our fight cast who just either weren't available or over the year gap had just moved on to other things.
Other challenges I've had, one of the big ones is we have a new fairground this year. That was something that was probably going to happen no matter what, but since there was a pandemic, it's not like we could go be physically involved with that. So having the new fairground mixed in with the pandemic, the amount of unknowns we had going on this year was very large. Other issues that we had this year, we couldn't start till much later because the pandemic was still in like high effect.
We weren't 100% sure that they were going to happen and the show was going to happen. So we weren't able to get the word out as well as we like to. So that was a large part of our challenge. The other part of our challenge is one that we knew we were getting into, and that was a much shorter rehearsal schedule than we've had in years past, and a rehearsal schedule that did not start with a month and a half of training.
So our fights in some ways suffered for it, but in a lot of ways we've learned that we don't need necessarily as much time to come up and write good fights. It's more the getting new people up to speed on what we need and getting rust off from having a year off of just not doing anything.
One of the other challenges that we knew we were getting into to begin with was the time off that we would have over the holidays. So that was a challenge. That was very anxiety-inducing for the whole production team. I know.
Some things that worked out surprisingly well that kind of became good highlights for the year is the amount of work a lot of our cast has put in and have been willing to work with us. We've had leads, especially our Black Side lead Lindsley, that's been helping as well as going, hey, this is kind of my ideas. This is some ways I feel like we could better showcase my character and things like that. It's a good highlight, and the amount of people that are willing to work with me and come tell me what's going on and work with the cast.
But I think there's a lot more camaraderie this year. There's a lot more empathy between people this year. Everybody's under a monumental amount of stress for one reason or another, just from having the pandemic still going on now after 2 years, and folks just trying to exist in it, trying to live and work and go to school. It's been it's been very difficult for a lot of people for 2 years, and it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress for people to deal with. I think this year the cast has come together magnificently over that. Everybody, yeah, we're all different people. We all have differing opinions on a lot of things, but everybody seems to be able to set that aside this year a lot better than they have in years past. We're one group. All we've got is each other.
There was a lot of uphill battles that we weren't entirely expected to have, but we pushed through all of them.
We took a chance on a number of our leads this year and have been, I think, very pleased with how they have risen to the occasion, particularly the pairing of our Prince John and Sheriff characters.
And then we did our showcase for the city today. The showcase, in my opinion, went fabulous. Even though we only had 5-minute breaks of like, get a water, walk a fight, go do what you need to do to get ready for the next scene. I think we pulled together really well. Everybody put in their full energy, and this was like the hottest day in direct sunlight.
And I think that was responsible for more issues with our dress rehearsal than any forgetting of choreography or forgetting of lines. It was all just dealing with the heat.
Knowing we can get through today, I'm confident we can get through the rest of fair. Talking to our person who's in charge of us, Bill, he said he loved the show and he loved what we were able to do with it. He didn't have any negative notes. I, in some ways, expected it to go well. I trusted my cast, and in the past year's experience, I've been on a show I really didn't think was going to pull together, and then somehow, during dress rehearsal, it just usually does. It's magical. It's wild.
Overall, I have to say that the reception from the folks that came out to watch that had never seen it before was extremely warm. Very appreciative. Of course, the parents of performers are always going to be very pleased with what they see. But there were performers from years past that were also out here who I do trust to have an unbiased opinion, or maybe only slightly biased opinion. And even they said that it was a thoroughly entertaining show. And that, at the end of the day, is always my goal.